and it's particularly as we deal with age leads, it's almost, I don't know if it's harder or easier, but the age leads I kind of like because no one's in the market with you usually, because real time you're competitive. So on the real time, kind of the opening line is always, hey, I'm just responding to your requests and I want to be, as reactive and as responsive as I can to what you're looking for. And then I let them talk. I love silence on a call. It's like, hey, I'm just responding to you. How can I help? Like what caused you to call in? What caused you to fill out that form? On the age side, the assumptive, just checking in. I've gotten a lot of heat for this, like on YouTube, where people are like, "Oh, you're being deceptive." But my opening line with an age, set of data is, "Hey, because usually know when that person inquired is, hey, a couple months ago you asked for a rate quote. I'm just checking in to see if you were able to get that quote and if you had any questions." And then boom, silence. And usually the person will run with that. They'll say, "No, I got handled." And of course, that's from not interested. I'm a big believer in just powering through the bulk of the leads, and just not interested means not interested. And then just moving forward. And really, when we're talking about age leads, I always tell people this is an act of at least that initial contact. Even probably on real-time leads, it's more of a sorting exercise. It's not a sales exercise. Once you get some feedback, then you can turn it into sales. But that first initial, contact and the first things you say is a sorting mechanism. Like, let's figure out where their mindset is, how they're going to respond to you. And then from there, I can figure out my tact. But don't try to hit them with, I'm Bob from Hometown Insurance and I'm going to give you the best deal you've ever seen. It's just too aggressive.
Yeah, I agree. That's why we always say that that initial contact is like the pickup line, and you don't want to go too deep with that pickup line. Make it super surfacey and not. Yeah, you don't want to go into the first date or the proposal. Right off the bat. Well, you're not going to.
And I think too, like, I talk about silence all the time and just dropping something out there and letting that consumer spin the story. A lot of times when you go like headlong in there and you say, "Hey, this is Bill from insurance company and I want to do this for you," or whatever, man, defense goes up. But if I just say, "Hey, this is Bill, I'm just checking in," a lot of times that person starts going, "Okay, who's Bill? Oh, I inquired," and that makes sense because they remember filling out that form, right? You trigger that. And all of a sudden, they're kind of back on their heels trying to figure out, and then they start responding to you versus, you kind of going in there with guns blazing and they get that defense going. So I love to just let them, get their brains spinning and them trying to figure out how to respond. And a lot of times it works out okay, right? So then they feel like, oh, I got to fill the silence,
Yeah, silence is key, I think. And I think it's when we get into, especially like the sales talk, I mean, people have to realize that it's not the same kind of conversation that you have with your friends. It has to be intentional. Silence has to be intentional, or the questions that you asked have to be intentional with trying to initiate some sort of outcome rather than trying to see where they're at. Like, "Hey, do you want a quote?" It's like, nobody wants a quote.
Nobody wants. Yeah.
Don't ask a question that you know you're going to get a no to.